For almost 40 years, I've heard dentists repeat one sentence over and over again. The interesting part isn't that they say it, it's that almost nobody ever stops to question whether it's actually true. And the sentence is this: not every practice can become fee for service. Every time I hear it, I don't immediately think about insurance. I don't think about economics. I don't think about demographics. I get curious because I wonder, is that a fact? Or is it a belief that has gone unchallenged for so long that it now feels like a fact? After 37 years in dentistry, I've come to wonder if some of the things we call facts are actually beliefs we've simply repeated long enough to accept as true. And I've also noticed the beliefs we defend the strongest are often the ones we never stop to examine. So today, I'd like to challenge one of the most common beliefs I hear in dentistry. Not because I think every practice should become fee for service, but because I think every doctor deserves to know whether the biggest obstacle is really the market or something much closer to home. Now, stay with me because this isn't really a conversation about insurance. It's a conversation about leadership. When someone says, "My patients won't pay," I often hear something much deeper. What they're saying really is, "I don't believe my patients will value what I do enough to choose it." Think about that. That isn't a financial statement. That's a belief statement. It has everything to do with confidence, communication, trust, and perceived value. Here's the interesting part. Patients don't wake up in the morning saying, "I hope I can spend thousands of dollars at the dentist today." They are asking completely different questions. Can I trust you? Do you understand me? Do you actually care about me? Do I even understand why this matters? Can I believe what you're telling me? Those questions are answered long before anyone discusses money. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine someone says, "Not every restaurant can charge $200 for dinner." They're right. Not every restaurant can. But here's the better question. Why? Is it because one restaurant simply changed the price on the menu? Of course not. One restaurant created an entirely different experience. The ingredients, the atmosphere, the service, the story, the expertise, the attention to detail, the feeling guests leave with. No one walks into a Michelin star restaurant and says, "Why doesn't this cost the same as fast food?" Because the value has already been communicated before the bill ever arrives. Dentistry isn't that different. Patients don't simply compare fees, they compare experiences. One of the things I've said for years is patients don't buy dentistry. They buy a better life. Nobody wakes up hoping to buy a crown. They want to eat without pain, smile without embarrassment, feel confident again, stay healthy, live longer. Your dentistry is simply the vehicle to their goals and quality of life. When practices communicate procedures, patients compare price. Now, let me say that again. When practices communicate procedures, patients compare price. But when practices communicate transformation, patients evaluate value. And that's where leadership comes in, because fee for service isn't simply a business model, it's a leadership model. This is where I believe most conversations stop too early. Doctors ask, "Can my practice become fee for service?" I think there's a better question. Who would I have to become to create a practice where patients willingly choose me? That doctor communicates differently, not more, differently. They stop explaining procedures and start discovering motivations. They ask better questions. They listen longer. They become genuinely curious. They lead differently and create clarity and accountability. They build a team that believes in the mission. They think differently. They stop asking, "Can my patients afford this?" Instead, what they ask, "Have I created enough value that the right patients understand why this matters?" They build differently. They stop competing on price and compete on trust because commodities compete on price. Trusted advisors compete on relationships. Now, am I saying that every practice should become fee for service? No. Some doctors make intentional decisions based on their community, goals, and circumstances. But I am saying this: don't let fear disguise itself as wisdom. Don't call something impossible when what you really mean is, I don't yet know how to create it. Those are two very different statements. One closes the conversation, the other opens the possibility for growth. I want to leave you with this. The biggest obstacle to creating the practice you dream about is rarely the patient sitting across from you. More often, it's the belief sitting inside of you. Because before patients can believe in the value of your care, you have to believe it first. And that belief isn't built through positive thinking. It's built through becoming the kind of leader who consistently creates extraordinary experiences. That's the work. And in my experience, that's where transformation begins. If you're a practice owner trying to build a healthier culture, improve patient communication, or create sustainable growth, send me a message. I'd love to hear what you're working on.